Hello, YouTubers. It's the King Premier here. I didn't get enough time to talk about all my thoughts about a world without oil in my last video, and so I'm doing a part 2. So, a world without oil. I talked about the TV documentary last time. This time, I'd like to talk about actually living in a world without oil and how you can do that. It's a very difficult thing, especially in a world that runs almost entirely on oil. But there are some things you can do. The first thing I would recommend, and this is by far the most important part of reducing your carbon footprint in the world, and that is buy local food. It's so important that every opportunity you get to buy local food, that means don't go to your big chain grocery stores, don't go to Walmart and buy your food. I understand sometimes, it's unavoidable. We all have to get those $3 cookies from Walmart every now and then. But the more local food you buy, the less oil is used in order to transport that food to you. Almost everything you get in a grocery store, like Safeway or Publix or Albertsons or Cala Foods or Stop and Shop, gets trucked in from not only the middle of the country, but from around the world. Like, some of that stuff you buy is from China, Russia, South America. And I'm not saying that, food from those places is bad, that they have very good food in those places, but you're using an incredible amount of oil, which is part of the reason why the price is so high. Yes, it is a little more expensive to buy local food, but that money goes back into your local economy, which then eventually winds up back in your wallet, versus when you buy non-local food, who knows where that money goes? It goes off to China, or into the government on taxes, or into the hands of oil companies for shipping your food to you. Local farmers market, great source of local food, especially fruits and vegetables. You can sometimes get meat at the local farmers market, but usually it's just fruits and vegetables. It's a really good place to start. Some places have farmers markets that are open 7 days a week. Some places have farmers markets that are only open once a week. But if you can, always buy your food from the farmers market. If you can't get to the farmers market, get on Google and find out where your nearest farm is, and find out what it is that they farm there, and buy that. Buy what's made in your local area and cook that. You don't have to do it all the time, but the more of that local food that you consume, the less oil that you'll use, and the smaller your carbon footprint will end up being, and the world will be a better place because of it. Another good source of local food is the Chinese grocery or Vietnamese grocery. If you live in a city and there's like a Chinatown, go to your Chinese grocery. You're gonna find that the food is actually much cheaper. Most of the time, those grocery stores have family members who own a farm within the area, which is part of the reason why their food is so cheap. Not because it's lower quality, it's actually higher quality than what you get in the stores, because it's fresher, and fresher is always a higher quality than something that's mass produced and shipped halfway across the world. Another good place that you can get local food is Mexican Groceria, or the Mexican grocery store. The same thing. They tend to have local farms, local product, fresher food, better health, better planet. That's the number one way that you can reduce oil costs. The second way that you can reduce your oil usage is to drive a scooter or a motorcycle. They use way less gas than cars. They probably use about 30 to 40% the amount of gas that a car uses. And yes, I know some of you out there have families, and you don't want to throw your kid on the back of the motorcycle. I totally understand that. That's a good thing. You shouldn't throw your kid on the back of a motorcycle. It's not safe. It's just don't do it. But that doesn't mean you can't have a car and a motorcycle. Usually you don't have to pay insurance on a motorcycle in most states, so there's really no extra cost to having a motorcycle, other than having your wife nag about the motorcycle in the garage that you never ride. But other than that, there's no cost to owning a motorcycle. You can pick up a motorcycle for as cheap as $700-800. You might have to do a little work on it. That's half the fun. But just riding your motorcycle 3 or 4 times a week is totally going to reduce the amount of oil that you use. Mopeds use even less. Scooters and mopeds use even less gas. I have a moped and a car, and I use my moped whenever I can. The third thing, also in regards to your carpool, of course, I didn't have to tell you that. I know it's difficult, if you don't have friends if you're not friends with the people you work with, or you live in different directions. I understand, but if you can, carpool, save some gas, save the planet a little bit. Might have to get up a little bit earlier, but it's for the planet, it's for your kids, the future, blah blah blah. Also, keep your car in good working order. Getting oil changes regularly, and tune-ups. People don't usually think about the tune-up. The tune-up is necessary. You should be tuning up your car, replacing the plugs and wires at least, bare minimum, at least once a year. You should be checking the gaps on your plugs and at least twice a year, minimum. That's the number one cause of waste of gas is an out-of-tune car with old sludgy oil in it. And the third thing, final thing that I would recommend is create your own electricity. There's a lot of ways to do it these days. You can do it through a small windmill on your property. Solar panels will save you so much money. Even if you live in a cloudy place like Seattle, Washington, getting solar panels will reduce the amount of electricity you use greatly. And if you own your own home and have a line of equity, you can easily borrow some money to buy some solar panels. They'll be covered by your homeowner's insurance. Check your insurance, make sure they are. You might have to take out a little extra on it, but usually you don't. Get solar panels. If you live in a sunny state like Florida, by God, get solar panels. Or Arizona, great place to have solar panels. You'll make back your money that you borrowed on it in easily 2 years, 3 years tops, and you'll just be having free electricity from then on. If you own your own home, there's really no excuse not to have solar panels. It's ridiculous, how much money you'll save. If you don't like solar panels, you can build a little windmill. If you're, neighborhood association, or allows it. Your community where you live allows it. Most of the time, if it's just a small little windmill, they won't have a problem with it. If you live near a river, you can easily set up a small hydropower converter. It's really cheap. It's how they used to create electricity before there was electricity. As instead of it plugging into the wall and plugging into a generator and turning into electricity, and plugging your electrical thing into the wall and taking that electricity from the generator, your windmill or water mill would just power whatever mechanical thing it was that you had. Usually some kind of, they're called mills because usually it would be attached to a mill that would grind wheat or corn or whatever it was that you were milling. Sawmill, turn saw blades with water power. I mean, this is technology that's hundreds of years old. You just have to take advantage of it. They didn't have combustion engines back then. They didn't have oil or electricity, and this is what they used, and you can still use it today. It's, open up a book. There's this kid in Africa who built a windmill from library books that, and provided electricity for his whole village in the middle of nowhere. It can be done. Okay, this kid never even went to high school. You can do it. Trust me. So that's my three easy steps to living in a world without oil.